Welcome back, Motorheads. This is Hot Rod Finds on Facebook Marketplace. First, got a 1957 Buick for $17,000. Now, I always thought these are a pretty damn good looking car. Now, this particular one here, they're asking $17,000 for. They are also saying this car does have some hail damage. This is definitely a car that you're definitely going to have to go look at in person and evaluate the hail damage this car has before you discuss any kind of money. You know, some hail damage is okay, but sometimes the hail damage can be so great that it's really more of a pain in the ass to try to fix it, and you're going to be in really deep on fixing and correcting that body. But overall, the car doesn't look too bad, but judging from them talking about it has hail damage, that means it may be kind of severe. We can't necessarily see it in the pictures, but I think $17,000 might be too high of an asking price on this car. But that's my thoughts on it. But what do you guys think of this old Buick, and what do you think of that price tag? Leave it down in the comments. Next, got a 1953 Hudson for $8,500. Before we get much further in, if you're enjoying our content, be sure and smash that like button. It really helps us out a lot more than you know. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Hudson. I think they're a cool looking car, and this one here is no exception. It definitely needs some work done to it. It's a little rough around the edges. But the biggest thing that concerns me about this particular Hudson is down there in the description, they said it comes with bill of sale only, no title. Now, $8,500, no title, that's a no for me. Now, I know you can get a title, but it's a process to do it, and at $8,500, I'm not willing to do that. But what do you guys think of the Hudson? What do you think of that price tag? Next, got a 1954 Chevrolet for $30,000. This is a great looking little 54 Chevrolet. Absolutely love them. But if you guys been watching for a while, you know I got a soft spot for the 53, 54 Chevrolets and the old Pontiacs. I think they're great looking cars. This one here is definitely a great looking car. I dig everything about it. The wheels, I like them on the car, but I think I would have went in a different direction. I'm not saying the wheels look bad on the car, because they do not. But $30,000, I just don't think I see $30,000 on this particular car. Is it nice? Absolutely it is. But is it $30,000 nice? I'll let you guys be the judge. Next, got a 1951 Mercury for $35,000. Well, here we have us a pretty cool looking little Mercury. Now, personally, I wouldn't have went with that color choice. It's not for me. That's my personal opinion. But what I have a problem with, $35,000 for this car. They admit that the paint is not perfect. And looking at the pictures here, we can definitely see that the door gap is not right. Some body lines are off here and there. And I think in person, we're going to find a lot more things like that. And I believe if you pick this car up at $35,000 and you go in there to try to correct some of these things, you're going to open up a can of worms you don't want. Now, I'm not saying this car doesn't have any value. I just say tread lightly if you go to purchase this one here, because there is some flaws on the body, and be prepared to spend quite a bit of money if you want to correct the things that are wrong on the body that I see in the pictures. Now, if this is something you just can't live without, and you can actually get in there and actually negotiate and get a fair price on this car, something that's not going to break your bank, or it leaves you some money left over, then this might not be a bad buy. But what do you guys think? Next, got a 1954 Oldsmobile for $19,500. We got us a sharp looking little Olds here, looking good in red and white. Now, from the pictures, overall, this doesn't look to be in too bad a condition. Now, we can definitely tell from the pictures, this car is definitely going to need some paint work, and the seller also admits it does need a paint job. Now, what I think I would do is I would try to go ahead and buff this out and see just how good a paint there is left on this car and use it as a driver. But at $19,500, personally, I think you could get a better deal than $19,500 on one of these. Overall, the car looks to be fairly complete, and I think that this one would make somebody a very decent project if they could get it for the right price. But what do you guys think? Next, got a 1957 Cadillac for $16,500. Well, if you like Cadillacs and you like attention, I think this one here will definitely bring you some attention. It definitely has a very intriguing paint job on it. And as a person who does a lot of those old flame paint jobs like that, it's a pain in the butt to do. So you got some time in that. Now, from the pictures, it doesn't look to be in too bad a condition. I wish they would have put better pictures of the car up here so we could have all gauged what this car might be really worth, or if we're really interested in the car. I mean, come on, people. I don't know how many times I gotta say, if you want big money, you gotta put damn good pictures up of your vehicle. Next, got a 1954 Ford for $42,000. We got us a very sharp old Ford here. I don't care whether you're a Ford person or not. You cannot deny that this car has got some very cool things going on here. If you're a true car guy, you're already spotting them. You know, I like the way that they kept the 50s customization. I mean, it's pretty much period correct, old school hot rod, the way they were customizing things back in those days. And I think that they nailed this one here. This is just a fabulous looking car, right down to the sunliner roof. I mean, these are just a great looking old Ford. And whoever built this car actually did a very good job. You know, from the pictures, I can't really pick out too many things wrong with the car. But, you know, like I said, this is judging from pictures. But this car is very clean, and this is definitely one you need to go look at in person. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this old Ford. Make sure you leave them down in the comments. Next, got a 1950 Ford for $40,000. Got us a great looking old shoebox here, digging the red and white here together. Now, red and white's done a lot, but it looks very nice on this car. Now, a lot of you guys are reading this car's got air ride. I don't necessarily mind air ride when it's done right. Problem I have with air ride is a lot of people don't know how to set up an air ride system properly, and they go cut a lot of things that I wish they wouldn't have cut. Now, if you build you a purpose chassis with air ride and you get all the geometry and everything correct, air ride's not bad. But if you don't, they just ride like butt. I mean, they absolutely don't ride right, and it definitely doesn't make it the safest thing on the road. Now, it's definitely a cool old shoebox, but what do you guys think of that price tag, and what do you think of those air ride systems? Make sure you leave it down in the comments. Next, got a 1954 Chevrolet for $27,995. Now, here we got another great looking 54 Chevrolet. Now, this one here is also bagged, and this one here is LS swapped. Now, looking at the pictures of this car looks to be in remarkably great shape. I mean, it's just a beautiful car. It looks good. Now, like I mentioned on the previous car, not everybody's into air ride. I don't necessarily mind it if it's done right, once again. Now, if they're done right, it really makes the car kind of stand out at car shows if that's what you're wanting to do. But like I said, the biggest thing is if it's done right, the car will drive safe and it doesn't ride too much like butt. Once again, overall, the car does not look bad. This car actually is one I think that it'd be worth going to look at. And if everything's done properly underneath there, they didn't cut away a bunch of things and they got the geometry figured out, with the LS swap and everything done, I don't necessarily think that's too bad of a price tag on this particular 54. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. Next, got a 1957 Chevrolet for $36,900. Well, we got us a cool looking little 57 Chevrolet here, and if you were a young man back in the 80s, this was the remote control car you just had to have. Everybody remember those? Yeah, that was on every young man's wish list back at Christmas time back then. Now, overall, I don't believe this is a bad looking 57 Chevrolet. I actually think it's a pretty nice looking car. Even though, personally, I think a 56 Chevrolet looks a little better than a 57, but I think the 57 Pontiac looks better than both of them, so it doesn't really matter. Now, overall, like I said, it's a very cool car. I like what they've done here. I like the traditional old hot rod flames they put on the front of it. One thing I don't like is the graphics they painted on here. Now, if they did just a rat pink, that's fine because I like rat pink. But if the other stuff on the right side of the trunk there, the STP, if all that was painted on there, that personally just made it too much of a personalized item to ask that kind of money in my personal opinion. Because now you got to repaint the damn trunk lid. But what do you guys think of the old 57? Make sure you leave it in the comments. Well, that's all I got for you today. If you liked today's video, be sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.